House
of
of
Wisdom.
Welcome, curious fellows. Picture a time when the world was divided, where in one corner, women were confined to the shadows, their potential locked away in the quiet corners of medieval Europe. Meanwhile, in the sunlit streets of North Africa, a different story was unfolding. Here, under the canopy of Islamic civilization, a woman dared to dream, not just for herself, but for generations to come. This is the story of Fatima Al-Fihri, the visionary behind the world's oldest university, and a symbol of the remarkable contrast between two worlds, one that stifled women's rights, and another that let them soar. Picture this. While Fatima Al-Fihri was laying the foundation for a grand institution of learning in Fez, across the Mediterranean, women in medieval Europe were bound by the chains of patriarchy. Their roles were confined to the shadows of domesticity, their rights as fleeting as the winds. Education was a distant dream for most, reserved only for those secluded in convents or the privileged few who could afford private tutors. In stark contrast, the dawn of Islam brought with it a new paradigm. Women in early Islamic societies were not merely confined to the home. They could own property, engage in commerce, and receive an education. This progressive approach wasn't just theoretical, it was lived. Women like Fatima Al-Fihri could rise to prominence, their contributions rippling through the sands of time. As Europe grappled with the rigidities of feudalism, the Muslim world was busy erecting cities that would become beacons of culture, trade, and learning. North Africa, under the stewardship of Muslim rulers, witnessed a renaissance as cities like Kairouan, Tunis, and Fez blossomed into vibrant centers of intellectual and economic activity. Imagine a world where knowledge was revered, where rulers invested in the future by building roads, mosques, schools, and libraries. Advanced agricultural techniques transformed the land, and trade routes connected Africa with distant lands, creating a tapestry of cultures and ideas. This was not just survival. It was the flourishing of a civilization. Born in 800 CE in Kairouan, Fatima Al-Fihri was not just a woman of wealth. She was a woman of vision. When her father's fortune came into her hands, she chose not to hoard it, but to plant it in the soil of knowledge. In 859 CE, she founded the Al-Qarawiyyin Mosque and University, a legacy that continues to inspire. While medieval European women were often voiceless, their Muslim counterparts in cities like Baghdad, Cordoba, and Fez were making their mark. They were scholars, poets, and leaders, women whose influence extended far beyond their homes. The University of Al-Qarawiyyin wasn't merely a place of worship. It was a crucible of learning, attracting scholars from across the Islamic world and beyond. Founded in 859 CE, this institution became a beacon of intellectual pursuit, where disciplines like theology, mathematics, law, astronomy, and medicine were not only studied but advanced. Fez, the city that cradled this illustrious institution, was itself a microcosm of the flourishing Islamic civilization. The streets were alive with the hum of trade, the aroma of exotic spices, and the sounds of artisans at work. Markets were not just places of commerce. They were hubs of social interaction, where ideas were exchanged as freely as goods. The city's residents, from merchants to scholars, lived in a rhythm of intellectual curiosity and spiritual devotion. Among the towering intellects who walked its halls was Ibn Khaldun, the father of sociology and historiography, whose ideas on the rise and fall of civilizations continue to resonate. Then there was Leo Africanus, the geographer who would later introduce Europe to the intricacies of African cultures through his famous work, Description of Africa. This institution was also a refuge for scholars from diverse backgrounds, including Maimonides, the Jewish philosopher and physician whose writings would become seminal texts in both Islamic and Western thought. Al-Idrisi, the renowned cartographer who created one of the most detailed maps of the medieval world, also found a home here. These were not just students. They were luminaries who would go on to shape the intellectual landscape of the world. Today, over a millennium later, the University of Al-Qarawiyyin still stands, its doors open to seekers of knowledge. It is a living testament to the vision of a woman who believed in the power of education, even when women's rights were a distant dream in other parts of the world. The university remains a hub of learning, blending the ancient with the modern, and continues to inspire generations of scholars, just as it did in its earliest days. Fatima Al-Fihri's legacy is not just one of bricks and mortar. It is a legacy of courage, of vision, and of the belief that education is a beacon that can guide future generations. In a time when women were often silenced, she spoke loudly through her actions, leaving an indelible mark on history. Let her story inspire us to continue striving for knowledge and equality. Thank you for joining us on this journey through history. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories that illuminate the past and guide our future.